Good evening, BBIG family. I have some fabulous news for you. As most of you, I'm sure, are aware, BBIG has resumed trading. That's right, the NASDAQ has stopped the halt that it currently had on the stock, and it did start trading this afternoon around 12:30. And it had quite an amazing run. And I'm very excited to say that run continued into the after hours. Please remember, nothing I say is financial advice, and always do your DD. I found something very interesting that I think you all will want to see when I get to the Fintel information. So let's get into it. All right, guys, this was taken directly from the NASDAQ website. And as you can see, BBIG was up 58.82% today. Quite an amazing day it had. So it says New York, August 16th, the NASDAQ stock market, NASDAQ NDAQ, announced that trading will resume today in Fintel Ventures, BBIG, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on August 16, 2022. Trading in the company's stock was halted on August 4th, 2022 at 1:44 and 39 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. So guys, it was halted for a total of 12 days, including weekends. For news and additional information about the company, please contact the company directly or check under the company symbol using info quotes on the NASDAQ website. For more information about the NASDAQ stock market, visit the NASDAQ website at www.nasdaq.com. Now, guys, the reason why I specifically went to the NASDAQ website was to see if I could find information that would tell us why the stock was halted to begin with, because I think that's something that investors deserve to know, right? Why did they halt the stock? Why did they release the halt? Because clearly the court case isn't settled. It just began today, and they didn't really get into much information in the trial that started. So, or the hearing rather. So, I'm not quite sure, but my guess is that this had something to do with Susquehanna and removing them as the primary market maker. Again, that has been my guess since the beginning, and right now I don't have information to validate or disvalidate that. I am not quite sure, and nobody seems to be reporting anything, which I find suspicious. But what gets more suspicious is what I find when I go to Fintel. But before I get into that, I just want to briefly show you the chart. And as you can see, it actually is showing higher than what the NASDAQ has on their site, which I find interesting as well, because according to my screenshot that I took on Robinhood, just because I like the way that the picture comes out to show you guys, Vinco closed the day at $1.26. It was up 43 and 8/10 of a cent, I guess you would say, for a total of 61.58% today. And after hours was up an additional 9.57 cents because it was up an additional 11 cents. And guess what? We get rid of that nasty fractional trading crap we were stuck in that makes it really hard to move the stock. So that's a bonus, because once you get above $1, they stop doing that. So guys, this was a nice flag pattern that we formed, which looks like a bull flag that had a nice breakout to it, right? So we're curling onto the upside in the after hours. I hope that that continues tomorrow, and I am bullish because there's a lot of positive sentiment. Now, before I get into Fintel information, let me show you Ortex real quick. According to Ortex, the short interest is 17.61% of the free float, 35.3 million shares. The borrowed shares today were 1.13 million. They returned 666.1 thousand. Now, that was an increase of 468.1 thousand. So here's the first conflict. Why is it that the short interest went down by almost a percent today, 0.96%, when they borrowed more than they returned? I don't know. Kind of interesting. The only thing I can think of is that they weren't borrowing to shorts, and that other shorts may have covered that didn't borrow. But oftentimes when you see they borrow more than they short, the short interest goes up. So I just found that a little bit interesting. But like I said, it could be because shorts that didn't borrow shares closed out their position as soon as it opened and it started running. The cost to borrow minimum is 15.41%. The max is 21.7%. And the average is 18.27%. Now let's get into what I find extremely interesting on Fintel. All right, guys, so according to Fintel, the short interest is 18.34%, and it's 2.31 days to cover at the rate it's currently trading at. And let's see, the total shares available to short is 0. Oh, I almost missed the bullish. Well, interesting. I wouldn't say bullish, bearish, nothing. I can't say. It's odd. Normally, when you look at Fintel and the short interest and the short interest ratio, it gives you the total number of shares short and additional information, guys. But that's missing from here, which I find very odd, especially given the current situation where they halted the trade for as long as they had. Why isn't it showing the short interest with the shares and stuff? This is not something that's normally locked. This is very, very bizarre. And you can go back and reference the other videos that I've done today. And of course, I've shown Fintel in all of them. And that information is there and it's public. So something odd I find about that. So I just want that to like be a heads up. What is going on? Is it because they did switch market makers and they want to make sure the information is correct? I have no idea, but I just find this interesting to say the least. So something to pay attention to, and we'll see what happens over the next few days, whether that, comes back up or not. I've never seen that happen before. So it doesn't even say the total. It doesn't say anything about the other shares there either. So weird. Anyways, as I said, there are 0 shares available to short, which is bullish, and Fintel's showing that the cost to borrow is 15.80%. Now let's see what the failure to delivers are. That should be interesting. And guys, I would imagine that the spike up today, which a lot of people were questioning, why did it happen? Well, I'm guessing that they had to cover all of the failure to delivers that existed from when the stock was halted. I mean, that would make excellent sense, and that would explain why on that initial spike up, it completely rocketed, right? Because look at here, like if you go back while it was closed for this past week, all of these shares here, since July 1st and up, I'm sure was the time frame. So if you added those all up, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 15, approximately 16,000 shares, maybe slightly under. That's just a rough guesstimate in my head doing the math real quick. But approximately, 1,600,000 shares, not 16, 1,600,000 shares would have needed to be covered, which could have explained that aggressive bump in the price action, right? Now, you'll also notice that tomorrow they have to come up with an additional 239,736 shares if they did not get those covered today, which my guess is they had to come up with all these and there's no shares left to borrow. I'd like to know how they did that. Again, going forward up until not for another week or two, we're not going to start seeing the numbers get really high again, guys. So the 26th would be the beginning of September, roughly. So the first week of September, we might see another bump, given that it gets higher for the failure to delivers, unless, of course, they try to cover those quickly because the price runs. There is a lot of bullish and positive momentum going on with BBIG stock that I'm seeing all over the internet, and it is trending on StockTwits. So that's very exciting news, and I think we're going to continue to see the price go to the upside. So we'll see what happens in court tomorrow. Hopefully, whatever is decided by the judge, it's in the best interest of shareholders. And I'm not going to get into the drama of it because, quite frankly, I've had enough and I've enjoyed the last week. My only concern, which some of you may have seen me address on Twitter, was regarding Colucci's statement, his stating of risk of delisting or something like that in that effect. You can look at my Twitter and it's highlighted, and I said, I feel to talk about this, but it's something that I'm seeing concerning, and it's because why? Like, we have no answer why the NASDAQ stopped it. I'm sure that BBIG knows, but we don't. I don't think it's over the Ted and Colucci thing because they're in court still and nothing's been resolved. So it has to be something else, in my opinion. Again, pure speculation. But the fact that he put that in his court filings, that the stock was at risk of delisting, was very concerning to me. And I'm just happy that it opened up today and that it's not. So there's no need to carry it out further. Clearly, it's not an issue. And why Colucci said that, who knows? But good news is we don't have to worry about it. So yay. Anyways, guys, I can't wait to see what happens over the next week regarding the price of BBIG because I'm hoping it trends back to the upside. Now, thank you so much for watching and have a fabulous rest of your night.